Welcome to Taming Python tutorial series. In this video, we're going to learn about functions in Python. Functions can be used to encapsulate logic so that we can get output for a given input based upon the function's logic. If you want to have a pictorial representation of a function, it can be imagined something like a black box where you give some inputs to it and you will give some outputs from it. So this is the syntax of a function in Python. You just write def space the name of the function. In this case, the name of the function is add, and you give the input variables, and here in this case the input variables were x and y, and you write the function body with a single tab space. So these two lines are inside the function because they are one tab space after this function keyword def. And here you can see we have at the last of this function I have written return x plus y. That means this function is returning an output. Let's get started with coding. I'll take a blank folder. I'll open it with Visual Studio Code. I'll create a new file. I will name it example.py. Okay, my new file is ready now. So let's start defining a function. So I'll take an example where my function will add two numbers. So I'll just write the function as def space. This is the keyword for the function. I'll just write my function name as add, and here I'll give two inputs. I'll just write x comma y, and here I'll give a colon, and now inside this function I'll write all my function definitions. So I'll write sum equal to x plus y, and then I'll write return sum. So yeah, my function definition is over. Here you can see I have written def and space, and I have written add. This is the name of this function, and here I have given the inputs of my function. Here my inputs are x and y. These are two variables, and now I am returning a variable called sum, and I have declared sum as x equal to y. Notice that the function body of the lines 2 and 3 are one tab space after the keyword def. So the function body should be one tab space after the def keyword. Alright, now let me try to use this function. I'll write k equal to add of 5 comma 7. Now what I did was I called my function which I have created just now. The function name was add, so I have written add, and instead of x and y I am giving the values of the variables x and y. So this 5 and 7 will be passed as x and y to this function add. So ideally we have to get 5 plus 7, which is 12, into the variable k. So let me try to print k. Alright, I'll save my file, I'll run it. Yeah, you can see sum is 12. Let me try to change the numbers and see what's happening. I'll write 3 comma 8. So it should be 11. So save it and run it. You can see the sum is 11. So here we have seen that my function add returns a value. You can even define a function which doesn't return a value. Def space greeting, and here I will pass a name, and here I will define my function now. I'll write print. So this function greeting takes an input called name, and it will print hi name, and does not return anything. So let me try to test this function. I'll just run it. You can see hi Sudeep. This function didn't return anything, but it did the work which was assigned to it inside the block of code. So this way you can define functions which don't return anything also. So now let's try to understand how can you write optional parameters in a function. Now I have defined a simple function called multiply, and I have given two inputs to it. It returns x into y. So it's a simple function, right? So now optional parameter means you don't need to give value of one parameter or more parameters to a function, and it will return the output to you by taking the default value of it. In my function multiply, I want to keep the parameter y as optional. So I'll just write y equal to 1. That means if you don't specify the input y, it will be taken by default as 1. So let me try to test this out. I'll just write first k1 equal to multiply of 2 comma 4, and the output should be 8. So now I'll write k2 equal to multiply of 6. So I've not given the second input y here, so it should be by default taken as 1, and 6 into 1 should be 1. So now let me try to print this out. Alright, I'll save it and I'll run it. You can see 2 comma 4 when passed to multiply function you got 8, and when you pass just 6 to the multiply function you got 6. So this way we have successfully demonstrated the optional arguments of a function. I can even specify more than one input as an optional input. I can write here x equal to 1. So that means I don't need to pass x and y also. So let me try to just experiment with that. I'll just write k2 equal to multiply. I'm not giving anything, and now let me see what will be the output. I'll just save it and I'll run it. Here you can see multiply equal to 1. I have not given anything to the multiply input, so it has taken the default values which are 1 and 1, and I got 1 as the output because 1 into 1 is 1. So this is how we can use optional inputs to a function. Now we'll get to learn how to use named inputs to a function. So I'll just define a simple function def. So this is a simple function called subtract, and it will subtract x from y. Let me take an example. I'll just write k1 equal to subtract of 12 comma 8. So it's the usual working. You pass 12 and 8 to this function subtract, and 12 minus 8 should be 4. So let me try to print that. I'll save it, I'll run it. You can see 12, 8 subtracted when you get that as 4. Now if I write y equal to 12, x equal to 8. Now here I am giving the named inputs to this function. That means I am passing y as 12 and x as 8. So now the output should be x minus y, that means 8 minus 12, the output should be minus 4. So now let me see what's happening. I'll just run this. Here you can see minus 4, because now I have changed the order of the inputs by giving names to those inputs. This is how you can use named inputs to functions in Python. I've written a blog post on how to use functions in Python and some examples for you to practice with. So be sure to check out this blog post in the description of this video. Hope you like this video. Thank you for watching.